down to the drugstore, almost anywhere you wanted to name, in Pendleton, Oregon, and Great Falls, Montana, and he bought marijuana and smoked it, and it wasn't against the law. It never harmed him a bit. In '92 when he died. Okay.
Thank you, Leonard. Your 2 minutes are about up. All right.
I could go for another hour.
I bet you could.
My name is Kate Peeker, and I had quite a few questions answered for me in the meet and greet earlier, so I'd really like to thank you for that. So just a few quick thoughts. As someone who wants to produce and process at the same time, I'm wondering if it's going to be like the liquor laws, if you have to have property and a place and everything set up, facility overhead before ever applying. And what's to happen if you get denied? Do you get compensated for everything that you've put forth? What about restrictions on growth? Will there be a cap on how many strains you can grow and how much of each, so that not any one business becomes too big and takes over? I know a lot of people have said it before, and I just urge you to allow as many people to obtain a license as possible, letting people grow a few strains, specialize, and to guarantee that this state has the highest quality product available. So I thank you very much.
Please feel free to leave that testimony in the comment box.
Okay, let's call up Jesse Velakanji, Dane, is it Schumacher, Jason Goss, Jesse Stretch, Don Tucker, and Justin Pitts. Come up to either microphone.
Hello, my name is Jesse Velakanji. I'm basically just have some questions about being a producer and a processor. My main question is on the taxation. How do you figure you can tax the farmer 50% right off the top? I mean, do you tax a wheat farmer 50% on their crop right off? I mean, you want 25% on a wet product which can't even be sold. Then you want another 25% basically on anything you make out of that. I mean, how do you take 50% off a person's product?
Jesse?
Yeah. I mean,
I think you need to remember what was said at the beginning. We
I
didn't write the law.
I know you guys didn't, but it didn't make any sense to me. I mean, and then capping how much you're going to pay. I mean, do you tell a person that produces scotch or liquor or fine liquor, oh, your 6-month scotch is worth the same as your 15-year scotch? I mean, there is a difference in quality. I mean, setting prices is basically, I just don't see it very right. I mean, I think a lot of people that voted yes on I-502 didn't honestly read it, because if they had, they'd have found, like all farmers, we're being fucked.
Jesse, just to correct the record, our current thinking is that the 25%, I believe Pat Kohler mentioned this, if you produce and process on your own, and we're not talking about medibles or infused products, that it may not be that you have to tax yourself, so only 25% will apply. Okay? That things can always change, but
Not very fair.
well, okay. All right, just so you can sleep at night, I just want to point that out.
My name's Jason Goss, and my main comment here for you guys tonight is also about the producer and the processor license. I just want some clarity between what is producing and what is processing, because for the grower to make the top quality product, he needs to be able to ensure that throughout the whole product. Bare minimum, being able to cut the plant down, trim the excess leaves off of that plant, trim the bud off of that plant, and then dry and cure it on his own. He doesn't necessarily need to be able to package or label the product, but to ensure the top quality product he made continues to be that way, he needs to have control of a couple more steps. The processor license should mainly be for making hash oil, ham, or honey oil, cookies, and treats and stuff. Yeah, I mean, there's certainly a need for a processor license, but the grower needs a little more control. And if the grower had the chance to control that and didn't need to buy the second license, it will help keep his costs down so he can actually make money off of the product, which will in turn make money for you guys off of the product. And thank you, guys.
Hi, my name is Justin Pitts. I went to your meeting over in Olympia. This is so much nicer. Thank you. And you guys answered most of my questions again. I had today from the start, so I can tell you guys have been listening to what people So I don't
You might want to pick it up.
pick it up. So my main concern here is I have a testing lab, and the Department of Agriculture hasn't given us any instructions or how to move forward with that. We already have the testing lab in place, and we would like to, apply by all the rules, but someone needs to give us the rules. And so that's one of my main concerns. So thank you.
Hello, my name is Jesse Stretch. First off, I just want to thank the board for giving the public this opportunity to come and give their opinions. Basically, most of the topics I want to talk about are reflecting the producer license, as that's the first that, based on your guidelines, you guys want to have drafted out first. As Jason spoke before me, I just basically want to touch base on a lot of the gray areas between the producer and the processor licenses. As of now, the way I read it, most of the trimming and curing and harvest process will be going down for the processor. So what does that mean for the producer? He just chops his plants down to the stalk and hands them over? How are you going to value weight, worth, all of that type of thing? I think that, like he said, a lot of the process needs to fall back on the producer, so all their hard work doesn't go to waste if the processor doesn't take care of it right. Another thing that I wanted to bring up was, and like the lady said, a lot of this is already in legislature, the 1,000-foot rule. There's also a little bit of gray area on that. Does that fall as far deep as to, child development centers or daycare, stuff like that? Will those, be an issue? And I guess the last thing I want to say is, I don't think that any previous marijuana conviction should be able to halter somebody from getting a license. I definitely think that people with marijuana convictions should be able to apply and require a license. So thank you, that's all I'm saying.
Hello, my name is Don Tucker and I'm from the Tri-Cities, and I have a few concerns that I'd like to voice to you guys. For what you've mentioned about the medical side, that you guys can't do or anything, change anything. In regards to that, there is a large issue in regards to the medical side that I think needs to be addressed, hopefully by our state, because we're going to lay the format for a national format, and we have 18 states currently medical. That if we don't design something with our legislature, even though it might not be tied in directly now, if we could write that in place to implement, to parallel and come along with all the other 18 states when it goes national to the other states, because that's going to be an issue down the road, even if we don't have the ability now to lay the foundation while we're doing that would be, I think, very critical, because it's an issue we're going to have to face to either parallel or come together with all the other medical states as well down the road. They brought up the issue with the timeline. You guys are so close with your timeline. You've already moved it to the point where you can almost get an outdoor crop in for people that are going to produce. With just a month or a few weeks further moving it back, you guys will be able to allow producers, and if you can't do that, to maybe have a pre-producer, 25-30% of producers that could actually be set in place to start producing in time outdoors in order to make it for this year's outdoor crop. Otherwise, we're going to miss a whole huge production and be possibly looking for potential issues. Also, for a potential liaison to the eastern side of the mountains, I would like to offer myself as, if at all possible, down the road to help bridge the gap between the huge divide between our state that exists that most people even in the nation don't know in this state, that the conservative side versus the liberal side, and our side over there where we're going to have to do all the growing, and then you guys on this side, or the Seattle side, where it's going to be the people in production and putting and selling and everything. So we have the largest ag industry almost in the nation as far as potatoes and other things. The thing with the hemp that the gentleman brought up, we're importing, I believe I saw 80% of our hemp from Canada. When we can produce it here in the United States and make that money stay here in the United States, also here in the not only the United States, but here in Washington State. That's what's going on. We have the potential, if we open up the hemp industry, multi-millions of dollars in just producing of something that's not even going to be sold for 21 and over, but benefit our state and our nation. So I believe that's all I have to say for now. Thank you for your time.
Okay, I'll call the next group. Jonathan Smith, Neil Nugent, Mary Mitmoen, Keith Milligan, Lisa Trish, and Matthew Wright. And I will point out, I think one of the Jessies brought up zoning and where it might be allowed, the 1,000-foot rule. Your city actually has done the first cut at a map where those things could be located. You might want to follow up with the city folks, because zoning will be in their area. Okay. So if any of those folks want to come up, and whoever gets there first, go ahead and start.
Hi, my name is Matthew Wright. I've lived in Washington my entire life. I'm a civil engineer. I've smoked weed since I was about yay tall. Like the pastor here, I've never said that publicly. It's never hindered me. You can see the variance of people you have, educated, maybe not so educated. I'm one of those people who have smoked weed my entire life and been very successful. What I want to say is I voted no on I-502 primarily because of the DUID law. I don't think it's based on science. It's a terrible, ill-conceived portion of the law, and we should look to change it as soon as possible. I know you guys don't have any power to do it, but just this week, Cairo in Seattle did a study on it. You can see just from that short 5 minutes on television that it's a terribly, terribly flawed law. The other things I'd like to say is I like you guys, no ill will, but you guys are the nannies. We need to be thinking about our economy. Our economy. This is going to be huge for Washington. People already want to come here from Oregon, Idaho, Montana, just to smoke weed. Are they going to be able to smoke weed in a bar? Is there going to be green bars in downtown Spokane where I can go smoke some pot in a legal place and go to a concert, enjoy dinner, enjoy music? Because right now it's not going to be legal to smoke it on the street. So how will I consume it legally and spend my money? I want to spend my money. A couple other things I'm concerned with the licensing, as you guys are. There's only going to be a number of licenses available. I want to make sure that it's not like the laws in California with liquor licensing, that they're a commodity that's traded and sold, and the end user ends up paying that cost. Where there's 10 licenses, 9 are used, one guy has it, and everybody else bids as much as possible to get that last license. I think that's terrible. Take the license away from that person. You guys can decide through another lottery or what have you. Select the most appropriate person. And I guess that's it, except I just want to point out to you, Chris, this is a true legalization where growing plants in your yard is still illegal. That's going to be the most efficient method for people to smoke marijuana. Maybe it's not as financially feasible for the state, but it's going to be more financially feasible for our people, and this is for our people.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity, Liquor Control Board, for offering my comments. My name is Keith Milligan. And I'm here tonight just to address one simple little matter. It may seem insignificant, but in my mind, at least as a songwriter, I know how powerful words can be. And you need to lose the word marijuana and use cannabis instead. Because marijuana is a derogatory term. It was derived back in the 30s and 40s, I believe. And it was used because of the Mexicans coming in and using it. And they used the word marijuana because that's what those guys did. Well, use the word cannabis, please, and become the Cannabis Control Board. You're the Liquor Control Board. You're not the Booze Control Board. And that's my only simple point to make tonight. Thank you so much.
The next group would be Jessica McPhail, Dave Billsland, Stephen Harvey, Ryan Park, Juanita Hupp, and Ken Martin.
So, my name is Scott DeKay. I'm just a resident, and I plan on being a grower. Well, I am a grower. I'd just like to say, the gentleman before, the summer harvest is going to happen, whether you guys get your tax out of it or not. It's up to you if you want to give that date up. That's a really good plan. It's going to happen. Washington needs the money, so, really think about that. It's all, how many millions and millions of dollars are going to be harvested and distributed. in September. So the state needs their cut, right?
You're up.
We're talking about the grower and the processor. To draw you a clear picture, because I have you here. When you cut a plant down, it wilts instantly, right? It's like roses, you know, you have to put them in water, but when you harvest marijuana, you don't put it in water. You cut it, and if you don't harvest it, you know, within 3 or 4 hours, you can't cut it and wait 8 hours or give it to another person called a processor to handle that. You have to cut it before, while it's still rigid, and or else it just turns to mush, and you can't even process it to sell a quality product. So it's all the processing is done by the grower. There's no other way. Just because of the way plants are, they go bad. I mean, it turns into mush. So you've got to do that yourself. And I'm a felon. I'm not a marijuana felon, but I mean, I use marijuana to make a living half the time. I have a regular job, but I think maybe you should. People talk about being a marijuana felon and being able to still grow, and I think that may eliminate some other folks that have been in trouble for stupid stuff in their life and need it to make a living and are really, really, really good at it and have no problem selling their product because it's wonderful. So maybe think about all felons, or I mean, where else do you regulate people as they apply for a business license in the state? So please allow us to do that. And as far as big business comes, you know, outside forces are going to come in. They want a piece of it. I mean, Montel Williams went to New Jersey and got a big foothold in that state. And I would say maybe you have to be a resident for a series of years, maybe 5 years. Big money, like who's the guy from Microsoft who is into it, and he's going to do it. He's big money, but I have no problem with that. He's a Washington resident. He's always been a Washington resident, and he should have his chance to make the kickest ass marijuana place just like Starbucks, you know, because he's got the money. And us little guys still need that chance. Thank you.
The initiative does have a 90-day residence requirement, just so you know.
90.
Hello, my name is Mary Bitmoen, and I'm kind of here along the same lines as the last gentleman. I'm a medical marijuana user, and I've been growing for a number of years as well. And I am of the same opinion. If you're a producer of marijuana, you don't just turn your pot over to somebody to process. At that point, you cannot. And I'm not even saying hours, buddy. I'm saying 30 minutes. If you don't cut that plant within 30 minutes, it may not be much, but it's really difficult. And your product is all in that next 2 steps. You know, cutting and drying. That is where you get your quality in your product a lot of times. I mean, first you have to grow it right, but in your drying is where you're going to get your flavor, you're going to get, you know, everything people really, really want. And another concern I have, as well as him, is not just the 90-day thing. It's just, I want to see big money coming into Washington, setting up all these big roads, and everybody's been struggling all these years, you know, doing this, even if it's just for themselves. They should have a chance to go out and make some money at this, because they have maybe perfected it, and they do well at it. And so I don't want to see 100 licenses go to the top bidders, or this, that, or the other. I think if you're going to base it on anything, base it on their product. Say, bring me a sample. Let's see what you got. You know?
There we go.
Smoke it. See what you think about it. Not telling it. If you don't get off on that first puff, buddy, you are smoking the wrong stuff.
We want you to smoke
And my tincture, I think Sailor Jerry is going to bless my tincture. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. I think it's all been said tonight. I intend to open a retail establishment. I'm Ryan David Park, and I actually intend to open a retail establishment. I don't want to be a grower or a processor. I'll leave that to you guys. I personally have been in the bar business for over 20 years, and I'm tired of it. I'm completely sick of dealing with drunks puking and fighting and trying to stab me, throwing bottles. I had my teeth knocked out with a U-lock a year ago. Okay, I have run more bars than I can even remember. And I'll tell you what, you need to calm down because weed is nothing like booze. And this country has made booze legal for the last 80 years. Oh, the children. The children can get booze just as easy as they can get weed. Do not establishments who want to run a retail establishment. I want to run a weed establishment that's like a bar. I want to know if the liquor licenses can be intertwined. Can you legally sell a half-gram bong hit over a bar? Okay? What are the laws that are going to be just in that process?
Ryan?
We will have security. People will not be allowed inside under 21. There are many ways to control it. It is not something that is uncontrollable. This is just a business. And it's millions upon billions of dollars annually that will go to fund the state and all their little 25%.
Thank you, Ryan.
You got it. Calm down, people. It's only weed.
Hi, my name is Jessica McPhail, and I've been active in the medical cannabis community here in Spokane, Washington since 2009, when I first received my medical card. My question is right now is how come our CW 69 was basically left orphaned, and yet when 509 passes and you guys have a chance to make a lot of money for the state on it, are you guys jumping in and trying to regulate it and give them guidelines and stuff like that when you haven't done that for the medical community? I've been involved in local, state, and federal raids. 2 people that I know of right now are facing up to a year in prison for providing for sick people. And I heard at the meeting earlier that you guys estimate that 90 to 95% of the people who have a cannabis medical card are not legitimate patients. Well, somebody said that today in the meeting, and I do have video of it, and it really bothered me because I look perfectly healthy, but I have MS, and I have other physical things that hinder me as a parent and as a person. It stopped me from finishing my school, okay? I recently just heard that there were raids this weekend, federal raids, north of Spokane, and that there will be soon indictments coming down. What are you guys going to do about that? What are you guys going to do when the feds come in? Because they will. And I believe you said that you spoke with the Ormsby today, correct? I would like to hear, I would love to know what that conversation was about. Me too. Because we have people out here every day who are putting their lives on the line, who are doing their best to take care of sick people. And I support recreational. Cannabis, much, much safer than alcohol. Much, much safer than alcohol. And I used to work in the music industry, which makes a lot of its money off of the alcohol industry. And let me tell you, it's so much safer. I don't allow alcohol at my cannabis events anymore. I don't allow, it doesn't work. There's still a lot of education that needs to be done. Recently, Americans for Safe Access filed a lawsuit and were turned down for rescheduling on a federal level. The reason why is because it was kicked back down to the Food and Drug Administration, who said that they cannot chemically recreate all 64 CBD compounds in cannabis. Okay, that's why they say that they can't reschedule it, because they can't play God and create man-made chemicals that are equal to a plant. This plant is sacred. You guys are facing a lot more than just a black market industry. You're facing a cultural industry. You're facing sick people. If you're going to start taxing, and I know you say you're not and you don't have anything to do with it, I know about the bills that are in place. I've watched numerous videos and stuff. I do believe that the 25% tax on medical cannabis is going to be pushed through, and it's going to be pushed through hard. If you're going to start taxing medical cannabis, why don't you start taxing chemotherapy? Tax recreation, not medication.
Just to be clear, the reason we're not involved in regulating marijuana, even though some of you think it'd be a good idea, is because we legally cannot. So that's the short answer. The other thing is as far as the U.S. Attorney over here, my input to him would be the same as it is to the U.S. Attorney on the other side, which is we'd like some clarity as soon as we can get it.
How about equal application of the law across
name's Ken Martin. I'm with an organization called cancare.org. Steve Sarich is a good friend of mine. I know he's been active in opposing Initiative 502. But I've got a couple of points that I'd like to make. As a medical cannabis patient also, and I understand it's out of your jurisdiction, it's under the Department of Health. But I'm afraid that we're going to get swallowed up in it with people saying, well, why do they need that now that it's legal? They can just go to our store. Well, I think people before me have made some really good points about that. So I will move on to another bone of contention that I have with Initiative 502.